So as we move into the modern age, one of the things that become more apparent for us doing the knowledge is that we need to add more strings to our bow. So it's not just a simple case of just do the knowledge and carry on. A lot of cab drivers are working out ways to make extra money, and becoming a London tour guide seems to be one of them. And today we are here with Nikki O'Connor and Frank O'Brien and Tom Hutley to discuss the pleasures and the pros and the cons of becoming one of London's tour guides under the Worshipful company of Hackney Carriage drivers. Thank you for supporting our channel. Thank you for supporting Wizan. Please like, subscribe, comment and hit the notification bell for any future videos. Today we are here with Mr. Tom Hutley, and that would actually be quite good with the badge. Mr. Tom Hutley, you all know from YouTube. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel. We're with Frank O'Brien, who is a legend in the cab world and also a tour guide of London, and a brand new tour guide of London. We've got Nick O'Connor, my nephew, I'm very proud of, and he's going to now carry the whole thing forward and become the greatest tour guide of London that ever lived, I imagine. Of course. I know that Nick is going to be a new badge, and he's going to collect his badge tomorrow. So should we start with you, Nick, and why you basically decided that the tour guide thing was something you thought about doing?
I know Frank done the guiding course a few years ago, and obviously we called over together on the knowledge. We were called over partners, and he mentioned it to me in passing. But this year, coming off the back of post-COVID, when we had probably one of the busiest times ever in the cab, just needed something to strike up a bit more of an interest, I think. So, you're coming off one of the busiest periods in the cab trade as ever had.
What now, you mean?
Yeah, so so that year post-COVID was the busiest year that we've ever had in the cab. Yeah. Certainly the busiest time period I've ever worked in.
How far back in history do you go, Nick, in the cab?
12 years.
12 years, okay.
Yeah, so over my career, if you like, that was the busiest period. And then it's still busy, but it's not as busy. Like, last year's work levels were crazy, and just needed something to sort of strike up a bit more of an interest, and kind of keep me motivated to go out there and to work and to be engaged with the job. Yeah, the course is a good way of doing that. So
it's not free though, is it? The course?
No, it's not free. You don't have to pay for it, but. One thing that one of the tutors said to us is it's like, if you say to yourself, right, I'm going to take 8 weeks, I'm going to dedicate this time to study, it's almost like having a gym at home. You don't ever use the gym, but if you have to pay for a gym, you kind of go to the gym and use it.
I'm a fan of that idea completely. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So paying for the course, yes, you are paying for it, and you might be able to teach yourself what you learn on the course over an 8-week period. Yeah. But in reality, you're not going to dedicate that time to do it. So yeah, the course is a very interesting course, and it manages to stitch a lot of London together that, places you drive past every day, and you might have no idea what happened there, or an event, or a person. And it is quite a condensed course. It's quite intensive. You do have to write essays and do short quizzes every week and answer questions.
Oh, so it's not easy. You're learning some stuff. So you're going to get your badge tomorrow. But Frank, you've had a badge for a long time.
Yeah. And 2016, I got my badge.
The tour guide badge.
The cab badge, yeah. The cab course. Yeah, I've done that in 2016.
Sorry, when you said a cab course, I think
that's what everyone calls it. We call it the cab guide course.
Oh, a cab guide course.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm sure someone likes on the official name of it, but when
the Worshipful company of Hackney Carriage drivers, qualified taxi guide is what this badge says.
Yeah, I've left my badge in my cab.
Oh, you know yours today, Frank. Oh,
yeah.
You'll have to let me get a shot of that.
Hold on, I'll let you get a shot of my whistle.
Oh, good. That's what you get. That's what you.
That's what you achieve. And look, it's I know Nick's just passed it. I'm still proud to this day of what I did. You don't need to be an expert when you do it. You're a cab driver. You've got so much to bring to the table. Yeah. Without realising it. I say to anyone, you've got the ability to engage with people because you do it every day in your day job.
Well, you don't have to make it up like I used to do. I used to say that Jack the Ripper murdered Mary Kelly on that corner there. Yeah. Just make up. I don't know who Mary Kelly was.
But I mean, you know what? You don't have to. We're great city on the planet. Yeah. 2,000 years of history. Do you know what I mean? To make it up is more difficult. I mean, and you don't need to be an historian. Like if you've got any interest, look, we drive a cab. Yeah, you're driving around the city constantly. It's hitting you in the face. So
and you've already got a really good USP that you've got a taxi.
Yes.
Like above other tour guides, it's mainly walking tours. They've got to meet at a station. You've got to get a lot of marketing behind you because you need a minimum amount of people to come and do it. Whereas with a cab, it's family
and as well
people, and then you can take them to places they wouldn't normally do. Yeah,
it's so with that, because you are a cab driver, you're not like you're stepping in, you're dipping your toe into something that you can, because you're a cab driver, you can give it time and effort. And if you ain't working, if you're not guiding, you can drive the cab. So you're not pressured to make a cab. Whereas in people who are tour guides, and that's their business, they're putting a lot of effort and they're not really getting a lot of return. It's a great way to step into guiding.
Yeah.
The actual course as well, just for anyone who doesn't know much about it. So it's an initiative run by the Worshipful company of Hackney Carriage drivers. It's Nick alluded to. It's about 8 weeks. I think it's about just under £500 now. But it's designed by cab drivers, so the tutors are on it are cab drivers. There's some blue badge tutors on there as well.
You are one of the tutors, aren't you?
So I'm not a tutor. I'm part of the committee that helps run it. So it helped to kind of promote it, get it out there. Most of the time, the kind of promotion of it's quite organic because it's been running for so long. People kind of know about it and they tell their friends, because everyone, I'd like to say everyone who's done it, and Nick, you sound like you've pretty achieved with it, is that it's a good thing. It's worth doing. For me, I compare it with like a yarn of thread on my shirt that I wish I hadn't started pulling, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. And you learn a lot from it, and it just really sparks that intrigue. And then, as Frank's gone on to do Westminster badge.
Yeah, Westminster badge. Yeah,
I'm also I went on to do a Camden guiding badge. So I did that in 2019, 2020.
So it's very dangerous that you might end up becoming a boring anorak kind of old man talking about train numbers.
A little bit, yeah.
I think you manage your audience, yeah. My kids, my wife, and all of that coming home. Oh my God, Dad's talking again.
Yeah.
People who don't want to know about it, don't worry, just leave it. But when you get people who like you spark something in them and they're like, oh, what's that? And then all of a sudden you're showing them stuff, telling them stuff that is in front of them, and they're blown away by it.
I've seen that for 20 years. I've never noticed that.
Yeah, and all of that. The amount of times I've done a tour, right now, Tom, I'm sure this has happened to you. I've had someone go, oh, I've got someone visiting. Don't worry, I know London really well, but can you just tell them stuff? And then by the end of it, they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I've lived in London all my life.
I grew up in London. I didn't even know about, do you know what I mean? They're blown away. So you get that a lot, like when you do them tours, but yes, I mean, it's great.
Is it very date orientated? Like
listen,
1962?
There are a couple. Speaking just because I've just finished.
Your dates are fresh.
So there are a handful of very specific dates that you will learn.
Let's have them.
When did the Great Fire start?
I can't remember.
Oh, that's the funny one, is it? Because it's the thingy. The Battle of Hastings is 1066, and the Great Fire of London is 1666.
Yeah.
So there was a weird thing with the 66s. Am I right? I've done the guide course already. Look.
Session in September.
So what dates are relevant?
The Great Fire, execution of Charles I, and that's
when was Charles I executed?
30th of Jan, 1649.
And did you know the story behind his statue? Because I learnt that one.
Yeah, it's something that you're told on one of your walks. So with the course, you do a classroom session and you do a physical walk. So you'll do a classroom session on a Monday and it will be about a specific area. And then you have a week to do a quiz. And then on the Sunday, you go to that area with a guide who's involved in the course, and they walk you around for 2 to 3 hours, and they do a walk of that area. And that's your kind of practical for the course. Yeah. So you do have to invest a bit of time.
Even if you just went and did those walks, like just paid just doing the walks, you learn so much just from doing that.
I don't want to. It's accessible for any cab driver who's got an interest. Yeah, don't if you've got a fleeting interest, you'll love it. You don't need to be, like I say, like, you do learn so much, but it's like that. You learn all this. It's like the iceberg of knowledge. What they call it, like. It's
all underneath.
You know all of this stuff, but you're only really giving them. But you need to know all that sort of stuff. Generally, you just pick it up, but you don't go around.
But in terms of the actual course as well, like I think Nick said about like how you have to do essays and stuff like that. It's actually designed for the average sort of cab driver. Right. So just building upon the knowledge you've already got. It's also it's all cab driver cohorts. You get to sort of talk and really good networking opportunities. So the guys I did the guiding course with, whenever they get tours, it's like, oh, I can't do it, but cool.
There's definitely a community of guides, and now with WhatsApp and stuff like that, you can communicate. You know who you want to cover your work.
Have you got a website between you?
Yeah, I mean,
No, what I was suggesting was that, I mean, basically all us cab drivers who are on, and I'm not a guide, but if I was, I'd expect to be part of a community of guides that are on a website that we could select from. Is that available?
WhatsApp groups and things like that?
There is one of the biggest companies out there. When I came out, I started the company with my the people I've done the course with. There's like 10 of us, and the company's still going. And we was in the early stages looking at possibly doing some sort of guild. To be part of, but I think generally, if you look after yourself, you see the same faces, it's little nod, hello, you don't have to go out wearing a 3-piece suit, but just look a bit respectable.
I think going back to what you were saying about like the promotion of the course, nearly everyone that was on that course knows someone that's done it. Oh, my mate done this course.
Yeah, that's the course.
And that is the way that you kind of organically get into guiding. So like, obviously I'd done the course because of Frank.
Yeah.
And
after telling him for years,
I
didn't just tell him last week.
And only have 2 of these a year, so they always get filled out. So,
but that's the knowledge, Frank, isn't it? You tell someone for years to do the knowledge.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
And then you stop telling them, and all of a sudden they've finished it.
All of a sudden they go, "I don't think you've done." Yeah.
So, but I would have thought that if I'm a tourist coming in from America, that there would be the guild, like you said, of tour guides, of cab drivers. That would be fantastic. And you're all on there as a database. I don't know how you disperse who would get what, but being in one place.
We're straying into like the politics of
I mean, look, if you think about guiding in general, like blue badges, they've got like a blue badge website. It doesn't mean that every blue badge is on that website, and it doesn't mean that every blue badge on that website only works for that. Do you know what I mean?
So they've still got to market themselves as well. Like everyone's like, oh, do the blue badge, and for people who don't know what we're talking about, in guiding, you have blue badge is seen as like the knowledge of guiding. Yeah. It takes 2 years to complete. Currently, it's about £10,000 to do.
Yeah.
Really, really intensive. And then there's other guiding badges underneath it. So most boroughs of London, as I've alluded to, Camden, Westminster, City of London, will all have their own kind of guiding one. And then, the taxi guide badge fits underneath that. But you still have to go out and market yourself. So it's not like you come do this course and then you're going to go get loads of tour work. And you don't technically need the badge to go out and do tour guiding. There's plenty of people who do it because this actually gives a lot of credibility for other stuff. So for me to get on the Camden guiding course, I was able to go in and say, well, I've done this tour guiding course with the Worshipful company.
And you don't necessarily have to get on these courses. I don't know, like the Westminster course, Caroline who run it, she had a whole spectrum of people, like people who've done courses, city courses, cab drivers, although I was the only one on it this time, and then she'll have someone who's got absolutely no experience, so they do. But it gives you a little bit, and then obviously if you do want to work for other companies, has he done the guiding course or she? It's just that, and it's like, oh, well, they ain't done the guiding course. Well, I
can't trust them.
Can't trust them. I don't know. You might tell me they've got the best personality in the world and they're a historian, but unless they've done a basic course, then how can I sort of.
There's a lot of other fundamentals to guiding as well. It's not just spouting facts. Like a lot of it is telling stories, entertaining a group, being able to guide a building, but without actually having to turn around and look at it, because you want to be having good eye contact with your guests.
That's one thing that's taught on the Worshipful company course is when you go out for your first, so whatever the area is where the exam's going to be. So our exam this year was Clerkenwell. Next year it's going to be somewhere else. So you go out on the first walk to that area and they talk you through all of this, all of your health and safety. This is where you stand. This is where you don't stand. This is how you stand with the point behind you, and you put your people here, and this is where how you show them. And that's the practical side of it.
So you're looking at them, but they're looking at
it's
the
like
object.
when you watch a TV news reporter, which sits there and like, that's what they do. They're always now. When they turn around, you think, seriously.
And it becomes an obsession now, because they obsess about it on the later guiding courses. Like again, I know I'm straying away from
it. And
the
a 5-minute window.
You got to have TVP to top visual priority and stuff. Yeah. So
you had me at USP. I thought, what's he going to USP stick for?
But even knowing where the drop curbs are, because if you've got anyone in your group who's disabled, you'd have to. It becomes a bit.
And I'll tell you another thing as well. When the black, because you're in a cab, a lot of and look, 85-90% of my customers are American. They see that they will land and go, oh, let's go and do a black cab tour and familiarise ourselves. So you do get sometimes people who are jet lagged. So you manage that.
Yeah.
Look, we're cab drivers. You got to remember, as cab drivers, we've got so much to bring.
But actually, that's what you said. Your unique selling point, which I wasn't completely confused about a USB stick and a USB stick. But your unique selling point, our unique selling point, we are actually cab drivers. We're in a perfect position springboard to this tour guiding thing.
We've engaged with people all the time. I say it to everyone. Oh, I'm not too sure how I am with people. Well, what do you do when someone comes up to your window? You talk to them. Where you going? You know, do you know what I mean? So that's what you're bringing to the guiding. You're bringing that in. And then you're working on them skills. You're building on them skills. You're building on a bit of knowledge.
Also don't really remember all the facts you tell them. They don't give a damn if you know.
All they remember is experience.
Yeah.
I was told that when I'd done the course. They will not remember a single thing you've told them.
But they remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, they remember how you made them feel. Some stories are funny.
Were the kids happy and engaged? If you could win the kids, you win.
9 times out of 10, if the kids are playing up, just sort them out.
So you're just doing small parties, cabs?
No more than 6. Sometimes you do multiple cab jobs.
When you say no more than 6, what are you talking about then?
We've got six seats in it.
So you're on a 6 seat. I'm sorry, I'm old school.
Oh, here we go.
5 seats.
You've got to be electric, mate, I'm telling you. We ain't got to be electric, but, you know. Panoramic roof. It's an icon though, isn't it?
Well, you know, it's actually one of the things. You've got an electric vehicle now. It's got to be a hell of a lot easier to be speaking and doing a tour guide in an electric vehicle than it is.
And more and more people getting used to it. I mean, I don't think our company ever gets requested for like a diesel cab. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's quite happy. Everyone loves the glass roof. I mean, it's perfectly made for it. And it's quiet. And like you say, you can engage with people.
Well, what's Nick going to do then? You've got an old growler, Nick.
TX4. Yeah.
It's people that still do it, though.
But you can also sort of market it that way. You can say, well, it's the traditional
taxi.
Yeah. So it's always just how you spin these things. You know, you could argue that the TX4 seats are more comfortable in the back. Because obviously the...
Yes. Is
it more comfortable in the back?
Yeah, that's what we're sitting on a lump of wood. That's what the jump seats, they're like really stiff, aren't they? Like when you do a Stonehenge in a bath and that.
Oh, them. Okay,
the jump seats.
Do you know we got told a story about the tip seats that they were for the servants?
Do you know what someone told me the other day, which is a really good way of marketing it? I got their conference seats. Yeah,
conference seats.
And that's how I'm going to market from now on.
Yeah,
they've got conference seats.
Sit on the conference seat.
Face each other.
Yeah,
charge a premium for those.
In the East End, we market them as footrests.
Do you know what you were saying about when you get excited by people that are interested and you want to talk to them and all that? So my eldest is at an age now where he's learning about history in school. So he's 7, year 3. He come home, he said, Dad, we've got Tudor Day in school. So I was like really excited. I tell him about Henry VIII. He was like, Dad, I really don't care. I was like, no. Just give you 5 minutes of me best stuff and he don't care.
Well, that's the kids. Yeah, you're telling me best stuff. They're like, that ain't what we're supposed to do. You think, well, of course you're supposed to. So what Tudor Day, we're going to do something High Holborn's got to be Tudor in it, surely?
The
building
Tudor style building, near Chancery Lane.
You don't think it's Tudor original?
That's mock, isn't it?
It's mock, yeah.
You think?
Well, no, it is. It's original. That would have been there, but it's obviously been updated over the time. Yeah, the Great Fire didn't spread through to there.
I'll say anything outside.
I thought it was because that's what I sort of learnt, but it's one of the only surviving. Yeah,
I thought it was Tudor, and I'm no expert.
They're saying there every
but by the sounds of it, neither are yous.
Someone will be in the comments going, "You're wrong, Tom."
Well, maybe, but
possibly.
Something else we also learn is that history isn't set in stone. New things come out all the time, and they dig and they find something new, and they say, "Well, actually, no, this is the oldest artifact we've ever found." Like things change all the time.
Also,
so the history that you know will change.
There's a couple of lines that get you out of trouble when you're a tour guide.
Which is,
it has been said.
The history books tell us.
Yeah. Legend has it.
That's right. Yeah, you know it.
According to my grandmother.
Yeah.
It's like I believe as well. Like that's so much more powerful than I think that's correct. If you say I think, everyone's like you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you soon you soon master the skill to give people the answer that you want to give them.
Yeah.
But I don't know about that. But what I can tell you is, for 2,000 years of history, I can't know it all.
No.
You know,
and it's a bit humbling as well to say, look, I don't know. Yeah, you don't know everything. Because at the end of the day, the kids are going to be on Google in the back and be, oh, that year wasn't correct. Oh, that wasn't correct.
Yeah, go what you on Wikipedia. You don't go on Wikipedia. That's wrong, obviously, isn't it? Anyone can do that.
No, Wikipedia is fairly accurate.
No, Wikipedia. No, it ain't. No. We don't use Wikipedia.
No,
we're told
they tell you on the course.
You can be inspired by Wikipedia. Yeah. But don't listen to anything it says.
Go look at the sources that Wikipedia will give, and then go read those books and then get more. But even all the history books, they'll conflate one another. Yeah, I'm sure you've read stuff
What's that thick one? You say to mention on the course. It's called London's history. It's like
Encyclopedia of London.
Yeah, I've got that one.
That's like meant to be
that big coffee table one.
That.
Yeah, but it's even down to like the amount of people that died in the Great Fire is disputed. Like
nine.
There's no real record.
All the prisoners.
We were told 6, but then
I was told more people died from the monuments to the Great Fire than the actual fire itself.
There we go. Yeah.
What, building the monument?
Yeah, a couple
Jumping
of
off of
people
it.
jumping off it. Or
right.
That's why I've got the cage on it now, isn't it? So stop people jumping.
You've walked up it.
Do you know what? I haven't actually walked up
I've never done it.
I have.
I ain't been on London Eye.
I'm the only one who's done it. You've never been on London Eye?
No.
Jeez.
There's 32 capsules on the London Eye. Why?
One for each borough.
But the city isn't a borough. Like,
Yeah, it's
31
a borough,
the city isn't a borough.
Eh?
The city isn't a borough.
No, it's not. But it's in there 32 boroughs and the city different. I
think it's 32 if you include the city. Possibly,
is it? I don't know.
The city's is confusing me because I did see something that the city's kind of like its own country.
Yeah. So you have to write essays on the course, and there's essays on different things every year. So we had to write one on Mansion House, which is like the home of the Lord Mayor.
Yeah.
And then you really get into the weeds of the Lord Mayor, why the city has a Lord Mayor, what his job is, and why the city, what the role of the city is, and
the Queen asking permission to enter the city. And
Temple Bar.
So my Westminster guy.
Yeah, you'll have to know about it. You have to enter through it by a temple bar. Yeah, that's the official entrance for the monarchy.
Going over there.
The way the course is structured is good because you do your 3 essays. Then they're only like 500 words, but you do so much research on Mansion House and the city that then you have a full understanding of it, and you have to try and condense it down so that when you're on a tour, you're not just boring people for 7, 8, 9 minutes. Like when you're at a point of interest and you're showing someone something, it's like 5 minutes max.
Yeah,
that's the idea behind the essays. Is you got your 500 words and you're trying to cherry pick the information you want into your 500 words.
See, this is that iceberg of knowledge that they teach you through making you do essays and make you do. You research so much stuff, and I don't want to scare people. Oh God, I've got to do like. It's not like that. You're engaged in something. You enjoy it. It's. You meet like-minded people on there, so you feed off them. Do you know what I mean? And you enjoy it. Trust me, if you're interested, do it. If you've got an interest, do it. For that reason, and you will meet like-minded people. You do feed off each other. You do all this sort of stuff. All of a sudden, you've got really good interest. You pick things up. You're like, wow. But driving around the city for years, I never knew that.
Yeah.
We're not all driving around with our eyes shut. So trust me, there will be things that you'll hear on the course, like Charles I, you mentioned, all of that, the background behind why it's there, and it's so interesting. You know what I mean?
So what is the background why it's there?
I don't want to get into facts now.
I just wanted to, before we move on, whilst we mentioned the City of London, I have to plug it because obviously I'll get in trouble if I don't. But obviously the course is part of the Worshipful company, as I've mentioned before. But there's when the course Cab Guide graduates go out, and as Nick's going to go to tomorrow, we get to have a bit of a dinner as well. So it's a really nice celebration of the achievements that all the graduates go through. So it actually takes place in a city livery hall because, of course, Worshipful company is part of one of the 110 liveries, is it?
Oh, I expect to know that. I expect to be, but you're better to know that.
I believe.
I
know all 110 of them as well. Yeah.
That's like me knowing there's 6 seats in the back of my cab. He should know that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go join all the others. But then people who go through the guiding course also get the opportunity to join the livery company, learn more about the livery. I've done stuff as part of that by taking part in the Lord Mayor's show. Again, it's just endless opportunities.
I might jest about the city light and snoring, but no, honest to God, you do get really engaged in it, and you do. I mean, we went to the Cutlers Hall, and that was the first time.
It's sort of like the dinner you feel like you should have had when you finished the knowledge.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly it. That's what we were saying. We should have done Sunday to done the knowledge because you get all tired.
And the original halls that are still there, they've still got some beautiful buildings.
So Waterman's Hall tomorrow.
Are you? Yeah. Well, Waterman's is my friend who is what is the top dog of a particular hall called?
Master.
So the master of the Watermans, yes, that's Simon McCarthy. So he's a cab driver. So the master of the Watermans is a cab driver.
Yeah. They are forefathers. Waterman. I was having a little conversation on the way down here. They are forefathers, aren't they? Waterman, ferryman, same thing.
The original taxi drivers came from like ferryman. Yeah,
from the ferryman. Yeah,
and supposedly where the badge is supposed to come on, they used to wear like a badge or insignia on the.
On their
apparently,
lapel, on their arm.
Legend has it.
It has been said.
But they would do shuttle runs across the Thames every day because the only way was the London Bridge. London Bridge would get congested, and their equivalent of Heathrow was Greenwich, please, mate.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Sweet.
So this is basically, the Worshipful company of Hackney Carriage drivers has, in a sense, risen its game by this course as well, because it kind of was.
It's one of the things that a Worshipful company has to do. They have to do, I believe it's education, charity, and it's like fellowship as well. So that you have to achieve these different things. There's charity affiliations, there's military affiliation. Every Worshipful company will have some kind of military affiliation or whatever as well. Education as well. So kind of like giving back, because they're kind of like, I don't know the exact structure of it, but it's kind of like a non-profit-y kind of thing. So it just goes back into
how long, Tom, have they been doing this particular course? Because it wasn't all the time. It doesn't go back 30 years.
It's got to be nearly a decade.
Jamie Owen said he was on the first one.
Yeah.
I know. He said he's like 20 odd years or so, I think.
Well, I know the guy coming tomorrow, Peter Maynard. I'm sure he was something again to do with the very early days of the tour guide course on the Hackney Carriage.
See, and again, like even when I done it, it wasn't really like one of the people who run the course then. He was he had his own company, and he was sort of, there wasn't really like nowadays with the social media. Dare I say it? What we're doing to the touring industry is what's happened to the cab trade in recent years by the power of the internet.
Yeah.
So that's now we're in that. If you get involved in this, depending on how you play it, you could be in that strong position where you're commanding where your work is coming from.
Yeah. Now,
when I done it, the person he had his own company, and then he started sort of taking people out on training days, and do you want to do this? And yeah, we do it. And now since I've done it, it's become a bit of a machine where people expect to go in, do a training day, learn how to do, and effectively they're ready to go and they're ready to pick up work. And if you talk to the right people, not saying that you've got to be in a clique, but I'm just saying you could end up getting work straight away.
Yeah.
And then obviously
there is nothing worse than like when it comes to really quiet times on the street, your January, February's, March, and you see someone who's done the course and they're walking down St James's Street pointing out like all the little, what's the square down there where the first Texas, the Jewel.
Oh yeah. Well,
Texas Embassy Cantina. Used to be. No, I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah,
in the is it Pickering Place?
Pickering Place, yeah. They left without paying their debt, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then when they paid it off, they put a plaque up to say that between 1842 and 1845, they had their own embassy.
This is on Pall Mall East kind of area.
No, so the bottom of St James's Street, where Berry Brothers and Ruddish, you go down the alleyway.
There's a little tiny alleyway with a square in, and they say it's where a duel took place.
It's the last duel in London, I think, took there.
But then this is what you say about history always changing.
Yeah.
There's a video on YouTube debunking that story.
And then who's to say he's right?
So it's it's... Yeah, you got
to be a bit loose with stuff like that. Like, look, we've just mentioned the plaque. Like every cab guide will know about that plaque. All right, we from Texas, they're going to see that.
There must be a link with that plaque. Do you know the Canadian High Commission down the other end?
That was a point. The Texas Embassy Cantina.
But I thought there was also a plaque up there.
Quebec House around the corner.
Yes, is there some connection between this Texas and that Texas there? Because there was a plaque on there for something about the Texas Embassy Cantina.
Possibly.
Anyway,
there's connections all throughout.
Do you know what? When I done the course in 16, they went, "Has anyone done any guiding before?" And someone had done a tour for a load of people that worked in the meat industry. I've done a meat tour. I was like, what? And I actually done a Carriage tour. I had some Scottish fella in a cab, and he's going, can you do me a tour and all that? And I was like, yeah, I'll look into it. And it's quite interesting. I think that's probably what gisted me to think.
The last prisoners at the Tower of London, weren't they?
They were the last prisoners at the Tower of London, yeah. And it sort of gisted me probably into going into doing in the guiding course. You know what I mean? Because I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've done a bit of research. Do you know what I mean? you're from London. This is part of London.
So you're not doing this. You're not doing this for the money.
No, don't do it for the money.
But it is an extra string to your bow, definitely, and gives you something to diversify.
You can manage your income quite more easier. Like
this is what I was kind of mentioning is that you're out there like in January, February, and you see someone who's doing a tour, and you're like, God, he's earning I'm here scratching around for like 20
last
quid.
year I worked. I mean, you can cut this out. Last year I worked Boxing Day right the way through to the 2nd of January
on tours.
Touring, yeah. Wow. I mean, that was nice.
Why the hell am I going to cut that out?
But I've been working at it for years. But the point is, if you put yourself out, it's not going to just come to you.
Well, you've hit something on the head there about putting yourself out, because it's something that I think we chatted, me and you, Tom, earlier, but it's something I know. Dave Frampton is going to be here tomorrow as well, and you might have seen Dave on other podcasts, but Dave is, for me, the epitome of what a cab driver is, because he does what you're doing. He diversifies. He picks someone up at the airport. He's talked to them. He's got their phone number, and now he's a personal chauffeur whenever they come into town and stuff like that. So a lot of us, when we're working, if you are in this job and you're not actually networking, as it were, you're just doing the job, picking up, dropping off, which is kind of how I would worked. But now I just see that there's so much to this job.
I mean, I like the beauty of that, because like sometimes if I get too many tours in the calendar and then managing YouTube and stuff, it's like, oh my God, like, I've got such a busy week. Like someone's really throws me, and I get a bit anxious if I see like, oh, my whole next year's booked up, or if I want to go on holiday or whatever. Yeah. But if you are the sort of person that likes to have a bit of, like Frank's saying, just have a bit of a reliable, right, I know where that's happening there and then. And also it's just, you get a nice group in the cab, like, it's awesome, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it was nice for me to get to the end of the season, if you can call it that, and just a few days in the cab, because I was thinking, oh my God, for that, mate. But then the hardest thing is I just want to go home. Yeah, but
I also know it is a bit of a performance. You are on a stage in front of someone. You have to have that skill.
Yeah, you have to have the skill. Look, I don't want anyone just going, I'm going to become a guide. You understand what you're getting into, but I don't want people to think that they've got to be, they've got to be an entertainer or a comedian or a stand-up comedian or a joke. You ain't got to. No, you've got a way of connecting with people, and that's the point of it. You can connect and you can read people. If someone's had a bit too much to drink before you let them in your cab. And that's you reading someone. You've got that skill. So all you're going to go it's going, of course, with Tom, forgive me, but at Westwood Company, and you're going to enhance on them skills and work on them and think, I quite like this.
Yeah,
it's not for everyone.
Yeah, sometimes you get a group and they're not all fully engaged. It's not like you're going to get that. I mean, that rarely happens. There might be one who's leading it more. There might be a dad who wants to sort of learn more about London. Kids might be less interested.
Yeah,
and it like I said, just managing the group. Sometimes you pick them up from a long layover at Heathrow or whatever, and they're falling asleep in the back.
And they were I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm here to make you comfortable.
What, they've steamed straight into a tour?
Straight you get that a lot. Yeah, because you're a cab. It's what I said earlier. You're black
it's
cab.
Making it as easy as possible for them, and it's the value proposition that we can offer. Yeah. So look, I'll come pick you up, grab all your bags. We can give a bit of a tour of London, have a bit of an itinerary. You know how London's laid out because you've never seen it before, and I'll drop your bags at the hotel. One person to pay. You're their contact of London. You can drop them off and say, right, it was great. Let me know if you have any questions or whatever, if you want to learn how to get around London.
Set fare.
Yeah, set fare. And
I never understood this. It's perfect.
Yeah, but they might come back to you and say, oh, do you know what, we was really tired yesterday and it might have only been like a 2-hour tour. Let's book a longer one when we're a bit fresher. Come pick us up at the weekend or, and we can do a bit of a longer, slower paced tour.
I had a guy who came, he'd never been before. He came solo. And he was he sort of done the tour once with me, loved it so much. He was on a bit of a recce, for his family, because he was going to bring them over. So done the tour with me. And then, a few months later, booking comes in again from him. Can do it with my family now. And he loved it.
So he's basically wants his family to have the same experience that he's had on the thingy.
You get a few of them. You get a few coming back. But it's nice. Most of them, I think, are just all fresh anyway, which is nice.
Well, obviously, this is our city. And we kind of, like you say, we know it, but we don't really know the history. But I imagine as being an outsider, I think that would be lovely.
Oh, they love it.
And also, I'm going to give us some credit here now as well. We're black cab drivers in London. And we're quite a trustworthy bunch of fellas and women.
It's amazing how many of them don't know about the knowledge. When you get the Americans in, they just book it. And that's the first thing I get out straight off the bat. It's we do the knowledge. And then now I've done history from that,
Yeah.
And they just can't get their head around it.
Well, I do still think that we're probably the only cab trade in the world where you are more than likely not going to get ripped off, because we don't have a purpose to ripping anybody off. I'm sure I'm going to be someone in our industry who's done it, but you go around the world and every cab driver in every city, apart from us, and I'm not going to speak for Tokyo. Got any knowledge on Tokyo?
No, they don't even take tips.
Bangkok, we got massively ripped off.
Different experiences in different places. But going back to that, I think it's just what we have to do to get our badge. Which is, going.
And we presume, don't we? We presume that people know what we know.
Yeah, but you work so hard to get your badge. Yeah, you ain't going to risk. What's the point of ripping someone off for a couple of quid?
I heard the reason why we give. Well, it's not. I heard it's a really interesting hypothesis by a guy called Rory Sutherland, who's massive. He's a head up in advertising and stuff. He's a big taxi fan. So the reason why cabbies give their job for free is because because they have such a strong reputation. It's not like a builder where they can rip people off left, right and centre. They have to keep the reputation so strong throughout their whole career, because otherwise livelihood goes wrong. So the only time or the only job a taxi driver can rip the customer off is technically their last one, because it's not going to have any repercussions on it. In which case,
on his own.
In which case, the punters broke even because the first one was free.
That's an hypothesis. So I imagine we don't even know when our last fare is, do we? So we've got to know that that's going to be my last job ever. I imagine most cab drivers retire by accident and not realise that was their day that they retired and they never knew. Financially, it's not massively expensive for me to hire you to take me on a tour.
Look, the finances are in place, because if you look, I don't necessarily want to put a monetary value on anything, but if you think about, if you hire a guide and then you hire a driver, you do the maths on that, you could effectively charge within that spectrum. Okay, so if you look at it in that respect, you can get a premium. You're getting what you put out. You got, you know, I get Walters. I know people that give out little stripy bags of sweets and stuff, you know, and they, you know, you don't have to do that. But I'm saying, you know, the more you put in, you know, I'll have a tour starting at 10. I'll come in early to miss the traffic. I won't work the cab. Because I can't be bothered. What's the point of working a cab? I've got a tour coming up.
It's a long old day when you think I've got to clean my cab, I've got to get it all, you know, like...
Yeah, you've got to clean the cab.
No, I know it sounds stupid because we've got to clean our cabs anyway, but it's not like you can just turn up work the street. It's like everything's got to be spotless because they're going to be in that cab for
every single job I do, my cab's cleans.
Yeah.
Every job. So if it's like, if I've come into town and it's raining...
You've got to get it cleaned.
Stopped, I've still got to suffer Edgware Road and pay 15 quid to get it washed because I'm not turning out for a dirty cab. Yeah. So you're getting what you put out. If I'm giving a job to someone and I've seen them on the tour and they got a dirty cab, I'm thinking he ain't getting another job out of me.
So you're not going to tell me how much you charge?
No.
But it is a bit of a sliding scale because obviously you have like different clientele, different people can warrant it. Like if you've got different badges, you can then say, look, I'm worth this. For me, like I get people now because of what they spot me on YouTube, which is kind of I didn't even think of this, but it's a backwards way of marketing that they see me and go, oh, I want a tour with you. It's like, well, you can't put a premium on that because like you're booking me for me. Like no one else can offer that.
When you think about it like this, you've got that the access, you've got the vehicle, and it's a package where you can, in a certain amount of time, get to a number of places, which if you're on a walking tour and you do a 2-hour walking tour, you're confined to maybe one particular area. You may just do Westminster in 2 hours.
And you've got to walk and you're in the rain. And, you know, on Camden, they were like, oh, we learned a little bit about Kenwood House. But like, we're not going to go into too much detail. No guy can get there because every walking tour has to start and stop at a tube station, basically. That's the general format.
Like you could do a Harry Potter tour in a cab, which I used to do them at the beginning because I tried to spread myself a bit thin in London. So, you know, but I don't really, you know, I do other stuff personally. But you can literally do the whole Harry Potter tour.
And you think about the locations of where Harry Potter was filmed. You can't walk between those locations.
Yeah, you're talking Claremont Square.
I don't know any of them where they were filmed.
Leadenhall Market, you know, Westminster. You try and do all that. And there's guides that do that on the tube. They take groups on tubes and they do it.
Oh, you're right now. I remember the Leadenhall Market bits in that because that's a beautiful place to sort of film in there, isn't it?
So my point is, you know, so that one tour, one Harry Potter tour is quite stretched out. Yeah. So the Beatles, you know, again.
I imagine then there's a little bit of abuse going on here. Then you're parking those cabs in special places.
Not me.
Well, in if you've got a TXC, you can pay for 10 minutes and get 4 hours in like Westminster. Oh. So you can go and pay for your 10 minutes, you get 4 hours, and you can do a little bit of a walk around Westminster. Yeah. But you know, there
is that as well. I'm glad Link said that. You know, you do some people think they're getting in a cab, they're not getting out.
Yeah, but you must carry with you the parking ranks guide so you know where you can.
I know where the rest ranks are for the driver to go and have a rest. Yes. I don't know about parking ranks, but I know where I can rest. But yeah, I mean, generally, because there's a lot more people doing it, you know, there's a certain rank near the change of the guard. It's always banged out at like 10:30. You know, you try and go down there, like, and you recognise all the cabs. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So yeah, you've got to think about the other drivers that are working. Like, the thing we're always talking about on the knowledge is you do knowledge. We want to look after our ranks. So why are you then going to go and become a guide and take the ranks up? Yeah. Have a bit of respect for you. Like that's the way I am. I've been in this game long enough to know. Get the apps. I'm not being funny. I've got another bank account that all my guiding stuff goes through. You know, stationery, you know, parking, all of that stuff goes through that, and that goes to my accountant. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
just build it into the pricing of what you do, and also you got to think about your punters. Like, how far are they going to be walking? Like, some places I thought, well, I can't stick it there because that's going to be too far a walk. So just swallow up the cost because you don't want them walking forever and then pointing out loads of stuff that you don't know about because it's like a route that what's this here, and you're like, do you know about that one? Like.
But what I can tell you is, look at that next door. But you know, generally, I mean, people tip you as well. Like I will talk about they do tip, and they do tip quite well generally.
Or like, you know, you have lunch with them or whatever.
You have like, oh man, I mean, I've eaten in some really nice places. I mean, James Martin up in the Cotswolds, man, that was brilliant. And I was like,
hold on a minute, but the Cotswolds not in London. What are you talking about?
So, no, I do out of town stuff as well.
So this is something you can go on to after you.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd
love to. I'd happily explore that you actually go on
and progress. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the Camden badge and the Westminster badge, and the boroughs have got their individual badges.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I do Bath, Stonehenge, Oxford, Cotswolds.
But that's blue badge.
No. Well, yeah, but
there's nothing in the guiding. There's you don't actually need a guiding badge. Like,
legally,
in London, we don't need it.
Legally in this country, you don't need any qualifications to guide. No. Legally. Like you can guide, but
it's a nice thing to say to the Americans because they are quite a qualification based system where you need guides.
But if you're going to try and guide without qualifications, then you're not going to really get much work. You know what I mean? You're not, unless you're a YouTuber or something like that, where you talk about history in London and people go, "Oh, can I book you for a tour?" Yeah,
I mean, probably a lot of the walking guides probably don't have guiding badges per se.
Yeah,
I know quite a few are very good walking guides.
I mean, we are that guiding badge is green. I mean, I remember getting told this on the course, and then so we are qualified to guide in a city. So people that are qualified to guide in a house like Highclere Castle or something, that's a lower qualification. Like bus tours, people that tour on buses generally they're only allowed.
It falls in with a designation of other badges called green badges, which is like borough ones. Then obviously this one, which is all over. And to be fair, whenever I took this badge on the Camden course, there's a few of them there like. Because they're all like serial badge collectors where they go from borough to borough because it's just like retired old biddies and ex-coppers and they're like, oh, what's that one then? I'm like, can't get this one. Can't get this one. You've done the knowledge.
Yeah. You know what? I'm glad you said that because when I done the course, they said that it's designed for cab drivers, but you don't have to be a cab driver to do it. That's what they said when I done the course. And I remember thinking, and then they went, but don't worry, everyone that does it is a cab driver.
So you don't have to be a cab driver.
I don't know the exact.
I think it's probably changed now. I'm sure, but that's what I remember being told. Thinking,
the course has evolved over the years.
Yeah, what's occurred to me with this little chat that we're having is that obviously us as cab drivers, with the fact that we've got the transport to go around London, because you point out the walking tours, they've got to go station to station.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the optimum position. We're the top of the tree in terms of what you should be if you're going to be a guide. This is... doesn't get any better.
Being able to cut out to Primrose Hill and things like that. Like, just a little drive up there. And
I mean, within within that small circle, sometimes you might drive guides around. Like I know people they've got enough work that they drive guides around, and they say, "I've got it's just a driving job. You don't get paid as much, but it's like you want to do it, and you're driving a blue badge." And the blue badge is because
he's using you because
they use us.
You're the transport.
Yeah, I mean the blue badge is not effectively using us. That's been that if someone has booked within a company, they booked the blue badge and transport.
Yeah,
and then that company's gone like, well, we need a black cab because the blue badge gets around easier.
Yeah,
so that happens quite a bit. We do drive guides around. I mean, I don't do it myself, but I have done it.
And then you look at
you go, oh, that's boring.
Well, you look at
an anorak. God,
what an anorak
going on?
How many dates did he give me?
Yeah. And you look at the tours that you can offer as a cab driver. It is different to a blue badge, but also you're rolling that all into one. Where you've got the vehicle and you've got the access and the bus lanes.
Are you looking forward to your first tour, Nick?
Yeah, I've done tours before, but I'm looking forward to this one now because even after the 8 weeks, you think, oh, if I'd have known that when I'd done my first tour, it'd have been so much better.
Yeah.
Even down to where you're standing. And I remember my first one, it was short and it was last minute. Someone said, I've just got 2 hours booked. Can you just cover these 2 hours? And there was mobility issues and you had to deal with that. And even understanding how to deal with those mobility issues now, I think, that 2 hours I could have been. They was happy with the tour they got, but it could have been so much better, even after the kind of 8 weeks of training on the cab guide course.
Do you have a set repertoire of jokes that go along with certain monuments that you will say every time when you're looking at certain things?
It's kind of endless in like how you adapt it and evolve it because you go, oh, that didn't work well there, or that was a bit more walking there. We want to maybe park somewhere a bit better there. Yeah. So you evolve that.
Toilets.
Yeah, toilets well known.
Toilets big part. Yeah, I imagine.
Toilets big part. Don't go out to hotels. I mean, come on, have a go. That's for taxi drivers. Don't start taking hordes of people in hotels. Okay,
yeah, we keep the perk for ourselves because we need that.
Yeah, you got. I mean, you just got to think a little bit. But there is like there is places to go. Where
Paddington Street.
What's that?
There's a
my knowledge is so bad.
There's a public toilet on Paddington.
I think that's a cruises one. That's a bit.
Yes, why I know it. I was George Michael with one day.
Yeah.
No, there's so few public toilets. So
there is few public toilets.
It is a serious piece of knowledge to know where public toilets are.
I mean, I wouldn't take anyone to the Iron Lung. You know.
Oh no. No.
You want the real cab driver experience?
Yeah. God dear. Yeah, and then you go out there and you eat in the Regency. And,
just get shouted at.
Usually time
sitting down before you order.
Yeah, usually time it with like a coffee break or something, because then it's like if they just want to grab.
So where are you going to get me to the toilet then? You don't know where any toilets are. Where are they?
Time it with a coffee break.
I don't want to tell you that because everyone will be turning.
Well, on that
note,
I'm
saying it's things that you learn, you pick up. You know,
you say you don't want to tell me now because you don't want people to know the toilets. That's fine.
Well, I mean, you know, if you've engaged yourself in a course, then you will learn.
You learn, but the point would be this: you basically are on a select few of a select club at the moment. How big do you want your club to become?
No, look.
Not everyone then goes on to do it regularly. Like I've not done very many tours this year. Some people are a bit more sort of serial with it. You'll also have your different areas that you gravitate towards. So you know, I always drop in Kensington Palace, but I know that some people it's not.
I make lots of drop in Borough because he lives down sort of south east, so he likes to drop at Borough Market.
You don't have to do this course and then go on to guide. Doing this course is just a great way to be a better cab driver. If it's just enhancing someone's journey,
increasing your tips.
Yeah, so like the other day, finished the course, picked up from the Westminster Hotel. Now we're going to the British Museum. On that route, you could guide for an hour or 2 hours just the things you drive past. Now, I bettered their experience in the taxi the first time in London and just showing them some things on the way.
Yeah, so having a bit of practice.
Even if you, exactly, that as well. But even if you do the course, you don't have to go on and become a guide or guide full-time or part-time or book out 4-hour tours. You can just be a better cab driver and you can just show people things on the way and increase the reputation of taxi drivers in London. So it's good.
I don't know if I'm going nuts though. I mean, but I don't know the Westminster Hotel.
No, it used to be the Hilton on John Islip Street. It's called the Westminster now.
Is it not got a brand with it?
It might still be a Hilton. I think it's Curio or something like that.
Yeah.
I know where you are now. I actually did know it. Yeah. And I think it always was called the Westminster, but not quite exactly just Westminster Hotel. Is that what they're calling it now?
So, but even like when I pick people up from the airport, I always say to them, first time in London, and if they say yes, I say, look, I know you've had a long flight or, long travel day. If you want to know anything about a statue or a building or something that we drive past and So you're touting for work in a sense? Yeah, but I don't offer people an impromptu tour.
No, but
I don't just off the bat say, oh, this is this and this is that. I always say to them, that first time in London, just relax. I'll get you to your hotel, no problem. But if you do want to know more than welcome to ask me. And
this again is selling our trade perfectly well and adding a string to your bow as a driver, giving you possibilities to earn more money.
You normally get to Hyde Park Corner and they point out Wellington Arch and say, is that Marble Arch? And you go, well, actually, no, Marble Arch is that way, but this is Wellington Arch. And you can just kind of just ease them in and then they might become a bit more interested. And then by the time you get further down the road or you go past Buckingham Palace, it just evolves. It's quite organic that way. You don't have to just chuck your knowledge onto people.
Your area was Clerkenwell.
That's where.
So tell me, because I know nothing about St John's Gate. What's that?
So St John's Gate would be. It's funny. It's not my exam point. So this is there. So you pick up little bits from other people on the course. But for my existence of Clerkenwell is the Martyrs Memorial and the Wallace Memorial and the One Son Pub. And that was my focus for
St John's Gate's something to do with St John's Ambulance, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So that's the HQ of St John's Ambulance. And
in the old days, I literally have no idea what it is because it seems a bit old for St John's Ambulance.
No, yeah. So that come later, but originally it was part of it belonged to the Knights Hospitallers. So it's like the person that had St John's Gate for their exam point will know the ins and outs of that gate. There used to be a coffee shop there as well, one of the first coffee shops in London. But to gain access, you had to speak Latin. And not a lot of people spoke Latin, so the coffee shop failed. So all of those little things you pick up...
Sorry, to gain access to the coffee shop?
Yeah, you had to speak Latin.
Well, it's a bit of a bad... But that's your USP again, isn't it? My unique selling point is we're not selling anything.
Yeah, those commoners who speak English.
Yeah. But so the exam was on Clerkenwell when you listen to other people do their exam points, but when you're on your exam, the whole time you're thinking... I've got my point coming up and you're getting ready for your one. So like my first point would have been the One Ton Pub. So I'm looking at them and I'm kind of engaging and nodding and seeming enthusiastic, but I know in 3 points time, I've got to stand there and do my presentation, my 5 minutes. So you're thinking the whole time, right, I'm getting one step closer. And the way the exam's set up, you have to then guide your group from the previous point to your point and do your health and safety and make sure people aren't in the road. Yeah. So you are listening and picking up little bits and pieces, but you're not. You can't put that much time and effort into those 20 exam points in Clerkenwell. So
You've got me interested in the fact of is this 1 ton pub to do with a Chinese soup or a weight measure?
It is a measure. So the 1 ton.
See, look, right.
I'm not going to give you my
what are you showing there? Yeah, this is what you have to learn. It's like doing a knowledge. Yeah, when you learn, you got to know everything. When you drive a cab, do you know what I mean? You just know, you got to know how to use the skills. You learn that to do that, but then when you get out, it's like, what is it, China? You know, like you frankify it. Do you know what I mean? Like you make it easy. Yeah, and you just make
if
it.
you don't know it, you'll find something on it and go, well, I don't know, but and this is great with having Americans as well, is that if they've never been here before, they'll question stuff that you've never questioned. You've got a fresh pair of eyes.
Stuff they come out with sometimes,
and you're like, I've never seen that. Do you know what?
Before, my most embarrassing thing, you know the Crimea statue, the big Crimea memorial down the bottom of. I drove past it. I was on a tour guide at this point. I got my badge. I was qualified, and they went, "What's that?" I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know. It's massive. How could you not? It says Crimea on it, you know. And I was like, I don't know. I said, but there is hundreds of statues around, you know. And I started talking about statues in London, but I just thought, my God,
you can't know everything, Frank.
Yeah, but come on.
And again, you're just honest with your passengers, because if you try and blag it, it just only.
You can't blag it. You just got to sort of, you know, you engage with people.
Except, what you don't know, and then but make it more of an intrigue as well, and say, oh, actually, I can see there's Florence Nightingale there, and then you can go down that rabbit hole a bit more.
Yeah.
He knows him on your.
There's a Christmas tree there as well at the moment, isn't there?
There is.
That's something to do
as well. Is when someone asks you a question you don't know the answer to, you'll go out and find the answer, and you'll never forget that answer.
Yeah.
So on one of our walks, there's a bust of Samuel Pepys, and on the bottom of the statue, that the sort of there's engraving his musical notes. And no one knew what the musical notes were for. So you go away, you find out the answer, and then you never forget that. It's like,
what was it play?
So no, the musical notes, they're a song that Samuel Pepys wrote, and in his in the National Portrait Gallery is a portrait of Pepys. He's holding a copy of that song. Oh. So that's something that no one knew, not even the.
But I have to stop you because I've got to correct you. It's Pepys.
Typical Yank. And there's your customer right there.
Is that the River Thames?
Peppy Street?
Well, I had one with the Marriott, funny enough. This is the same kind of idea. So it's the Marriott. It's not the Marriott. It's the Marriott, yeah. You want to go? It's the Marriott. I know it because it's John Marriott, and John Marriott was an American that I'll forget it, mate. You're in London now. That's the Marriott. You know.
I'll take you down the Mall.
Yeah.
Not the Mall.
The Mall, yeah.
Where's the Mall? Or Westfield?
do you know, funny, the Mall, I have thought about that one as because I've been doing a lot of audio recently, and it is the Mall, but it is the Mall. How have we made it the Mall?
It's French, isn't it? It's Pall Mall.
Yeah, Pall Mall, Pally Mally.
Pally Mally.
So we're taking the French pronunciation and just doing it because it's Chiswick Mall, but the Mall.
It's the Mall. Well, yeah, because it's associated with the game. We used to play the game, didn't they? Pally Mally down.
Yeah,
it's just behind the tree lines, wasn't it? That was where it was. What? I'm a Westminster guy, but like a cat in the headlights. I
believe Camden.
Just like parallel with the actual Mall. Is where they used to play the game.
And that's fantastic because I've learned something today. Yeah. I mean, I've learned why we say the Mall, and that was important. And Pally Mally, is that the game they played that's a little croquet egg?
Yeah.
It's not croquet though, is it?
It's not croquet. It's
French.
It's
which I knew of the name Pally Mally, but I didn't know. Yeah, obviously
the association with it. Yeah. I mean, not this. You know, I've talked to it the other day. There's so many things that connect in London.
Well, you know, birdcage walking where the birdcage is.
Yep.
They used to walk their birds.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just the
that's the birdkeeper's cottage on.
Am I Westminster? I don't think I am.
Yeah, on Storey's Gate.
I know it. Yeah,
Edwin Storey, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know the Storey Gate one. I'm right there with the birdcage.
That's where the Averys were, I thought, but that's just
no.
The walk,
I'm sure.
I've never heard this.
They would walk their birds, carrying their cages. They would walk their birds up and down birdcage walk.
Possibly. Sounds like a Georgian thing. Georgian?
Yeah. Whoever lived in them houses, you weren't talking about poor people.
They're all Georgian houses, isn't they? I think they're all Georgian, isn't they, around there?
But it makes you, the whole thing with it, and what's opened my eyes to, is you question everything now. You look at a street and you're like, oh yeah,
you know it.
Yeah, I get that now.
Do you know when we done the course and there's a week you do architecture, so they take you through some architecture stuff, and for the next week I was constantly looking up at buildings and just finding myself intrigued by the architecture.
Corinthian, Ionic column,
Doric column.
all of
so
that
you
stuff.
look at like the.
I hate
the
to say it, but my My job at college was architecture, so I'm into the Baroque and the Gothic and the I've done my days. I went to school sometimes.
But you'll find things on the course that pique your interest more. Like if you do the week on Westminster and you become infatuated with Westminster, you might go on and do the Westminster guiding course.
Yeah.
And after the architecture,
well, it doesn't seem to work, the Westminster guiding course.
But after the
do they do renewals on them badges?
You know what? I should ask me money back because I just don't seem to know anything. No, but do you know what? Because I used to work the cab.
You're under the spotlight.
When I worked the cab, you know what I mean? When I worked the cab, I used to like working West. I mean, I come in from West, so I used to like working West. And then when I like West, really. The city's great. The city's got some amazing history. Obviously, it's 2,000 years old there, but it's a bit more difficult to sort of drive around the city.
Connecting that back again to the knowledge. I mean, on the knowledge, I think in most of our days when we all did the knowledge, we could be asked really nice historical. The Porter's Rest in Piccadilly, for example, that was a point that we could be asked.
Listen, I used that the other day.
Yeah.
I go like, and then see, this is where you sort of familiarise it with people. It goes like gig economy. Go think about Deliveroo. They were the Deliveroo of the day.
Oh yeah.
Where they wanted a rest, they put their stacks up.
Yep.
Goes nowadays, you get someone on an electric bike,
Someone would point it out to the listeners so they don't know what we're talking about, because many people won't know it.
Go on, you do it, Tom. I'll leave that.
Well, I don't know either. So.
Piccadilly.
There's like a big shelf next to the bus stop.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so the Porter's Rest is the high shelf next to the bus stop. Or
yes,
Piccadilly going westbound. Yeah,
my issue is, should we still be asked that sort of stuff? Because I found all that stuff very easy to learn. Anything that had some sort of
connection,
it was easy to learn. It's much harder to learn London House in Mecklenburgh Square, which is another London house in another square, but an interesting historical fact.
Yeah,
and they had this period where they moaned about the fact these are not relevant for our knowledge because it needs to be somewhere that someone wants you to take them, and it kind of has some argument, but I don't think it hurt us to know that stuff.
And it's not like a taxing story to learn about Porter's Rest.
No, very simple.
That little historical fact will help you remember it. And so it's not,
Not only helps you remember it, it increases the way that you feel and see the area.
Stuff that you're going to learn and know, like throughout, however long you want to, if you're interested in it, you might be sitting in, might be banged out going that way and look at it and think, why is that so high in there? You learn about it. We're human beings. We're intrigued. We're curiosity.
Okay, now I'm curious.
And then someone's going to say, well, what's the memorial behind it? What's the bomber crew? And then you're not going to know, and then you're going to look into it, and then you're not going to forget it because you've looked into it. You've done your research.
I didn't know that one. But I want to now learn something else.
Even that little story is interesting. So that's a Halifax bomber crew.
Yep.
And there was a Halifax that they found in Belgium in the 90s, and they dug it out of the mud. And some of the crew was still in the plane when the plane crashed.
I bet they were bored.
But they took part of the Halifax and they put the pieces of the Halifax in that memorial. And it's not like massively, it's not a huge story to learn, but if you're going up the slip and you're sitting in traffic and you just want to keep your people entertained,
I'm fascinated now. So where is it? This is by Porter's Rest.
Bomber Command.
Yeah, the Bomber Command.
Do you know the new one? The newest monument.
Yeah,
they've done it a few years ago. Remember, it's got the statue of the feathers. I don't.
Yeah, so that's a Halifax crew, and there's a story of the Halifax.
And it's made out of the metals.
Not fully, but they incorporated parts of that Halifax plane into the memorial. But those little things, even things like there's 32 pods on the London Eye, you're going to be sitting on the embankment waiting to get to Parliament.
You sure that ain't a coincidence?
But people,
they do a circle.
Do you know
but
what? I always think that, but I think everyone says it.
Those little filler pieces are really good, just to keep your people entertained.
Why is Westminster Bridge and green, and why is Lambeth Bridge red and pink?
Pink, let it be red. Well, that's the two ends of the house, isn't it? They sit in red leather seats, and then the Commons, the people that represent us, they sit on green leather seats.
Okay.
And they're at this end of the house, so you've got two ends of that. I mean, that's great. You get people down there, tell them all stuff.
Well, I should put a photo up of someone was walking across Westminster Bridge, I won't say who, the other day, walking across Westminster Bridge, and the sun was shining.
Oh, here we go.
And
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that before.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I never knew it.
I had an American tell me about it because of the power of.
Everyone knows about it. Then?
Well, I had an American goes, isn't that the bridge where the image comes up in the sun? I went, yeah, that is. It's travelled.
And you knew that.
Yeah, only through like social media.
I feel well left
out.
Viral. What's going on?
So around the three circles.
In the bridge.
I'm
not putting that bit in, but So, well, Dave was walking across the bridge and he took a picture of it and sent it to me. He says, look at this.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And I thought that was the first time we'd ever known it, but it's like everyone must have seen it. Sunshine. Have you not seen the image?
I think I see it now. I can see the shape in the bridge, the cut.
Oh, well, but it is a bit... it's quite classic.
One, if you come out the World's End in Camden, someone done one on TikTok. You know the sort of paving that's got those little bits of glass in it, like translucent glass?
Yeah.
That's in a bit of light for like a basement or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
There's a toilet underneath there, presumably for like the underworld or whatever. But one of the bits of translucent glass is missing. So someone just did it on their camera and just zoomed right in, and it's right above a stall.
No.
Yeah, I have to find it. It's ridiculous.
Not someone in the stall.
No, but I don't know if it's locked up or if it's an old public toilet that doesn't get used now. But it was, yeah.
So now we're on to public toilets. Has anybody been into a public toilet that's now a restaurant or a bar?
You got the attendant in Fitzrovia. That's like a coffee shop, isn't it? And you're sat there in the urinals.
Nice.
But they've kept the urinals.
It's like an old, like Victorian, like underground, like for the real sort of like quite grand urinals,
the old lovely ones,
step ones, yeah. And it's it's a real like.
I've been on the one on Wellington Street and Aldwych. That's a bar or was a bar.
Yeah.
Go down there, and then also the one at Whitechapel. They turned that into a curry house, didn't they?
Yeah, or like a club for a while. That was
couldn't be that big.
Yeah,
but interesting. But they were perfect. They were lovely. Them toilets. You're not old enough for them.
I remember them,
and you're not old enough for them. But we are.
I'm of an age where I wouldn't go near them. Don't go there. Strange men like hang around.
If you've got to write,
come to my school.
If you've got to write a particular essay,
little boy, do the knowledge.
If you've got to write a particular essay on the course, you'll learn about public flushing toilets. So the course is it's widespread. There's only 2 courses a year.
Is it?
Yeah, 2.
Get your name down.
There's a spring and an autumn.
Yeah.
And how many people on each course?
It's about 20 people.
Yeah, we had 20 on ours. Yeah.
So there's about 40 new drivers coming through every year that are all cab drivers, but don't have to be coming through, joining this. So how many are there on past occurrences? Can only be
it's only a small cohort.
Yeah, and again, it's right. How many people go on to? Look, I more or less work full time. Yeah, more or less.
Well, as a guide.
Yeah.
So the cabbing kind of is a secondary thing, and you're guiding.
Yeah, right. Like someone said to me the other day, goes, "What is guiding your psychic?" I went, "No, cabbing is." Like I literally guide. I've been doing it years, and I've put the work in. I have put the work in. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I guide. Yeah, and I thought. I literally just had a job come in. That's what I was playing with my phone. So I just had a job come in for Monday.
Yeah.
4-hour tour. Like minimum tours are 4 hours. But yeah, and. Some people might not want that. Some people might want to be more flexible. But it's another string to your bow, isn't it? It's another.
Well, it's more than a string to your bow. This is actually the mainstay of your business now.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. So, but again, it's not for everyone, and you might want to pursue it. You might want to chase it. You might want to put more. The more you put in, the more you get out. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, if in my circumstances where I am now, I wouldn't do it. But if I was going back the years and where you are. I would absolutely do it.
On occasion, I don't have in his 60s. He's like, oh man, I wish I'd done this years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I'd done it years ago.
Well, when I did it, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
This wasn't when I finished knowledge. And everybody intended on doing the blue badge. And I think they all kind of thought the blue badge was a kind of green badge. They didn't understand that the blue badge is the history. It's quite an in-depth course, isn't it? That one, it's big.
It's a very different way of giving a tour as well. Like if you listen to a blue badge and you listen to someone who's done the cab guide course, it's very, very different.
I mean, I know you sort of want to sort of finish up, but it's since I've done it, I've seen it evolve massively. Do you know what I mean? And it's now it is sort of there's more of an industry there. You're training for an industry that you know is there. When I done it, it was literally enhance your tips. That's what it was aimed at. Just enhance your tips. You never know, but like now. How old am I? 7 years down the line. It's a job.
Yeah, all the nuances behind it. Even things like public liability. You're getting people in and out of the cab, and you've got to cover things like that because you're taking them. If they trip over a paving stone, you don't want to have to deal with those kind of eventualities. You have to be a bit more prepared.
No, you're right. I've got insurance. Quotex do it. They do guiding insurance, and very rarely stuff happens, but a couple of things have happened. Over the years I've been doing it, out of my control. Which, but you just want to make sure, that you're there. And then the course, they do teach you. I don't gesture anyone across the road. I'll tell them out across the road. I'm not going to hold your hand unless you pay extra. But so you learn them skills. That's what they teach you, which you really have to take forward if you want to do it. And look after yourself.
I imagine your tour is quite good, Frank. To be honest with you, you got the warmth and the chat and everything else, and we're going to go around and you want to be happy, don't you? You don't want to be too bored.
No,
you want
and own the tour. It's your time.
Some tours as well, you feel like, God, I haven't you know, like you feel like some tours you've done really, really well with, and then maybe another one you've not done so well with, and you've not given them, or you've not been able to get places because of traffic. But each tour group doesn't know what is normally there.
Yeah.
Like,
so they don't know what you ain't told them. I always say that. I always say they don't know. In your head, you're like, oh, I want to get that. I want to get them there. Don't promise anything. I'm going to get you here to see that because you're in London, and if you don't get them, you failed.
Yeah.
So just keep everything.
You got to be flexible.
You got to be flexible.
It's something.
Find out what their interests are. Because if they're like, I must see Buckingham Palace, and you're like, all right, that's the end of the tour. We didn't see Buckingham Palace. Like,
yeah. I mean, and flex of people. You talk to them. I'm saying, look, let's engage. You know, the more I know about you, the more I know what you're interested in. Do you know what I mean? Do you want to do Abbey Road? And do you like Harry Potter? Like, you know what I mean? Because let's just get that out of the way. Because you'll do like, you have half an hour left and go, can we do the Abbey Road crossing? You're like, I've got to get no, not really. So, but not everyone, but
I get the impression that the difference between the blue badge and the Hackney Carriage tour guide badge is that the blue badge is going to be droll, and in 1864 this man was, and you guys are cheeky chappies, going to give it.
Well, it's a bit of an entertainment sort of level to it. Even the sort of books and history that I like to read to kind of swat up on it, and obviously something I learned from the course as well, is like kids' books, like stuff that you can actually really get involved in how it works. Even when I go to different museums and stuff in London, if there's like a kids option, I'll listen to that because that's going to have a more engaging story that I'm going to engage with. It's probably going to stick better. I'm going to enjoy that more, and then I can go on and do more research about it. But if you just get someone just go, well, they built this in a Palladian style, and the green is tunes.
But he's right. There's only so many. Fire London, Charles First execution. That's it. Don't worry about
the rest is
centuries.
You kind of say,
really,
it's the middle 14th century or the middle 18th century.
Even then when you say what something century, people are like,
they ain't got to remember. They won't remember these
names. No.
You can give them.
I'll say, look, do you know what? I'm going to tell you the Tudors. I'm going to tell you the royal family in really simple terms. You got Tudors, Stuarts, and you got the House of Hanover. All the first four kings were called George, so we basically called it the Georgian period. Bang, there we go. I've covered about 300. Right, sorted. And then as I'm going through it, so I'm going Tudor. You know, like, so, you know, I don't, so you've got to make it easy. And again, a lot of people are jet lagged and stuff like that.
You're not doing the course to become a historian. It's you're doing this to just, you know, give good tours to people.
So,
it's not,
out of interest, where is the Museum of London now?
Oh, I don't know. Where's the Museum
Smithfield,
of London?
Isn't it?
Where is it?
It's at Smithfield. Have you not seen it? You should have seen it.
No, it's not.
Oh,
see, none of you know.
It's going to Smithfield.
It's
going to
Smithfield.
Oh, here we
the
go.
Rotunda.
Here we go. If we're going to be factual, we've got to be accurate.
Okay, sorry.
They used to hold this guiding course
at
in the Museum of London.
Yeah, that's where mine was in Rotunda. It's not there no more, is it?
Ours was in the Guildhall. Ours was in the Guildhall, of course.
Well, where
I
is it
suggest you all do the knowledge again and catch up.
It's
now in the London Docklands Museum until it opens in
Yes.
Smithfield. Yeah. So
you went there, and of course you should know that.
That's a good one. The Docklands.
It's like the buff.
It's called the Museum of London Docklands.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we did do one of our classes there.
Oh, but the Museum of London is based in the Museum of London and Docklands currently. Temporary home.
Yeah, no, it is this right, yeah.
So it's not the fact it's two museums in one at the moment until they move all their collection to the new. It's going to be quite a museum.
Yeah, it's really good. Someone's showing pictures.
It must be a pretty small part of the museum because the Museum of London Docklands isn't big.
No, I know it might be just storage, Nick. I mean, that's where they're homed at the moment.
I'm going to chuck them a curveball.
Well, it kind of is a curveball because you know what we need to know knowledge-wise. Yeah. We need to be up to the minute. So we're not talking about history. We're talking about now. So what is then, to finish off, what is the most interesting historical fact that you carry with you, Tom, about London?
I was about to go into this, but I've given it away now with the bridges. Yeah, Frank's on the edge of speaking
really?
now, look.
Interesting.
I'll get thinking around, right? Frank's
I mean, what do I use? What gets a good...
Yeah, what's the
above the doorway of Westminster Abbey on the western front, you've got like these ancient... It looks ancient, but Christian martyrs from the 20th century. And I always point out Martin Luther King's up there because you look at the old ancient Westminster Abbey doorway and you think, these are just old figures.
Always evolving.
And then next door you have, or next to him you have Oscar Romero, El Salvador gent who was
and which I say, can you see an American king? And they go, American king?
Martin Luther King.
Look at the one with the child at his feet. He's bang in the middle.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And that would be...
But they're all 20th century because the guy next to him's got glasses on. So it had to be fairly modern. They couldn't be like that.
They went up in 1988, I think, if I remember right. I've got a book and I read about them all. I can't remember none of them.
Oh, well, I'm so pleased with this podcast because I love that one.
Everyone, that always gets everyone.
I mean, the black mark on the clock above Hillscards, I mean, that normally gets people.
Yeah. It depends where people are from.
Yeah.
Give it all away.
What that? My God, that's so obvious. Well, because every cab driver driving past.
Well, I didn't know it.
Oh, didn't you?
Not until the course.
Oh, right.
So
it depends where they're from. Like the job I had the other day from the Westminster to the museum, they were from Boston. So if you know about John Harvard, and they don't know about it, you're blown away. So they're blown away. Sorry. So it's like it depends.
So John Harvard, who's at Harvard University, in the John Harvard Library in Borough High Street, and what else about John Harvard in London?
But they didn't know the connection between John Harvard from Borough founded Harvard Uni. Like in a very
so John Harvard is an Englishman?
Yeah, he's baptised in Southwark Cathedral.
So the Harvard University is named and
after him,
created.
He started.
I mean, that's a very brief. Like I've given you a very brief.
Now, again, these are all pearls.
I'm going to tell you
a
story. I'm going to tell you a story with connection.
Get on the guiding course then.
So I'm driving a cab. I've just done a course. I learned about John Harvard. I've done a bit of research. Benjamin Dunstan was the fellow he started up with. John Harvard dies. Benjamin Dunstan decides to call it Harvard College. Got this geezer in the back. I've just done a course from Keane, giving him all this stuff, and then I start telling him he's a descendant of Benjamin Dunstan. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And he's telling me loads of stuff. He goes, yeah, because of that, for generations, we were allowed to go to Harvard without paying any fees. What? He goes, yeah, it stopped like about 2 generations ago. So he goes, I can't go. But so you never know. As a cab driver, you do this course.
I had a relative of John Wolfe Barry. Yeah,
oh, yeah? No way.
An Aussie guy. Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to educate the public on that one.
Architect of Tower Bridge, and then his father, Charles Barry, was House of Parliament.
House of Parliament, yeah. Worked himself to. It'd be done in 2.5 years. 30 years later, they're still building.
Yeah. So we've done some. What about yours, Nick? What's your most interesting thing? You don't want to give it away?
No, I don't know.
Do you know what?
I'm not as experienced in guiding as.
Yeah,
as
but what's you've learned recently?
Yeah.
What about the language thing? I told him the other day. He was like, I can't
no. So this is something we learned on the course, and this is a good one because it's about the languages. So you've got like a mixture of languages, and we've had French kings and stuff like that.
English is the bastard language.
Yeah.
Between the Germanic and the French
Latin
and the
Saxon.
Yeah. But that makes us more diverse. We have more words to cover things than most languages have.
Like the word strand, where strand come from?
Beach, German.
Yeah.
Once beach.
And
was it the beach? Was the beach up to the strand? I imagine.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
That's what Charing means bend.
Charing means bend. Bend of the river.
That's where it bent. That was Charing Cross, Eleanor Cross. It all connects, man. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. No, it is all connected. It is all connected.
Well, Eleanor Cross we have. But again, Eleanor Cross brings us back to the things that we learn on the knowledge that they no longer learn, and the carrying of Eleanor's body. That was one of the topics.
She stayed in a priory there overnight.
But this is where everything is connected. So if you know about Eleanor Cross and you know about Edward, then you know about William Wallace. My exam point was William Wallace. So you learn about Edward I, and then you learn about the connection to Eleanor. So it's
William Wallace
hung, drawn, and quartered.
And who was he? What's his connection with London Bridge?
He was hung, drawn, and quartered on London Bridge, was he?
No, he was. So it's my exam point. So no, he was killed at Smithfield. So that's where he was hung, drawn, and quartered. His head went to London Bridge. The first head on London Bridge was Wallace's head.
Where's the memorial then? The memorial is in Trinity Square,
no,
isn't
it? St. Bart's.
Okay, it is St. Bart's. Sorry, I'm thinking of another one.
Trinity Square, yeah.
Which one's at Trinity Square?
There is an execution site at Trinity Square.
Right, because I think that might have been where in the movie they might have portrayed it as being in Trinity Square when they hung, drawn, and quartered.
It's not really a documentary. Braveheart.
There's factual inaccuracies with that one.
Yeah, I didn't get my exam knowledge from watching Braveheart.
I don't know. I saw Ridley Scott the other day. He's made, what's his latest film that he's done?
Oh, Napoleon.
The irony that the fact that's emblazoned in the IMAX roundabout right outside Waterloo Station.
Waterloo, I know.
Yeah. Well, someone said to him that this is not an accurate statement of Napoleon's historical thing, and he said, "F*** off."
I love that.
Oh dear, as if Anyway, so you didn't give any historical tidbits. I learned loads from these two.
Right, the language you speak. What I was trying to allude him to, I told him the other day, and he thought it was quite amazing. So what you do learn on the course is obviously, you've got 2 languages.
In a very basic way, you learn this on the course. So this is what we was told, and then Frank elaborated on it. So
so basically you learn about the origins of your language. You've got the language of the classes. Yeah, you've got the peasants and the lords.
Oh, okay.
Because when William the Conqueror came over and conquered everywhere except for the city of London. They call him William the First.
William the Bastard, isn't it? Yeah, that's what proper guys would call him. That.
Yeah.
He didn't conquer. Yeah.
But anyway, so he basically took control of the land, gave all the land to his friends, but they spoke French. The peasants or the people that lived there already, they spoke Saxon or Germanic. Yep. So now we've got class languages. So when you go and ask for food on your plate, you're speaking French, or you want pork, or you want beef. Yeah. But when they go in the field, they're going to get in their language. They're going to say pig or cow. So that's two languages meeting. Then one I said to him the other day, I went, oh yeah, it goes on. What about like there's loads of them. Like when you sit on something with a back, yeah, you're speaking French, le chair, yeah, chair. All right, but you sit on something without a back, what the peasants sat on, you're speaking German, Stuhl.
Oh, Frank, what a nugget, what a pearl.
Stuff like that. And then, so you learn your facts, you learn all this, but it ain't about that. It's about engaging. Like, they will remember that when they leave.
Well, so will I.
Yeah, exactly. So
that is a real gem.
And I mean, in law, there's loads, will and testament. Like in the court of law, so there's no misunderstanding, you say it in the different languages. And a will and testament is the same thing in two different languages. And I think there's like some of them, they've got 3 words in law. I'm not a law expert, by the way, but yeah, it's loads of stuff.
Yeah. Well, is this linked to the pronunciation of Grosvenor and Grosvenor, that kind of thing?
He was that's Fat Hunter, isn't he? He was a friend of. That's his nickname. His nickname was Fat Hunter.
Grosvenors on the call.
That's what Grosvenor is, Fat Hunter.
Oh, okay. I just know that it was the story I heard is that a poor person won't know that the S is silent, and an educated person would know that the S is silent, so they could tell your class by the way you say certain words.
I like that.
And
you used to say that about
I love that.
Beecham and Beauchamp. Yeah. So that one, I was going to ask if you knew how it came about, because my presumption is very much like the woman off the television program Bouquet, but her name's spelled Bucket.
Well, do you know what? The way like every day's a school day doing this, because I never knew that. But when you explain it in my head, well, the S is silent in French, and it's well.
Yeah.
So that's obviously where it comes from, because you're speaking French, of course, for no. But if you're a peasant,
you'd read it.
Yes.
You read letters, yeah.
So yeah.
And all the students who are kind of thinking, they all read the S normally. If they've not got because if you've been in England, you know how to say Grosvenor. But you'll see so many saying grows, and it's even hard to say when you put this in Grosvenor.
Greenwich as well. They're like Saxon wise, aren't they? Greenwich.
Yeah.
Wick is like settlement.
Yeah.
And that would have been when Saxon tribes would have settled.
Do you mean Greenwich?
Greenwich. Yeah. We get people in, how do you say it? Southwark?
Yeah. Southwark, yeah.
We call it Southwark. And then they look at you like you're setting them up. I'm like, no, trust me.
Yeah.
Call it Southwark, yeah? If you want to call it Southwark, you crack on, but it's Southwark. Yeah?
Southworks, because that's where all the dirty industries were based.
Yeah.
Southwark. Oh, that's where it was from?
Southworks,
yeah. Because predominantly the wind blows like east.
Oh, okay.
That's why the rich move west.
Yeah.
I mean,
they say you could smell what was going on at what factory.
Yeah,
because of the wind. The way
predominantly,
so like if they were making biscuits that day, you could smell biscuits on the wind. And
I was at Peak Freen's biscuit factory yesterday.
Well,
the old story on the Peak Freen's, me and Dave were both reminiscing, because we used to get broken biscuits. Well, broken biscuits were real. You could go to Peak Freen's at the factory over in Drummond, Bermondsey, and you'd queue up and get broken biscuits in a bag, and then they figured that they could sell them. And then later you had to buy them, but you could go there. All the poor people would go there. A bag of biscuits.
Childhood there. If anyone wants to do the course, you have to go to www.thewchcd.co.uk. So it's the Worshipful company of Hackney Carriage drivers, but all just
And I think the spring one next year is already full.
Is it?
Yeah,
I think it's 6 on the wait list or something.
Wow. And how much is it going to cost me?
It's just under 500 quid. Yeah.
And then you get in what you put out. Like you say 8 weeks, it's 8 Sundays and 8 Mondays.
Yeah,
you could go work the cabins, ignore it, just scrape through. Don't. Why?
Yeah,
you paid.
Not, I mean,
you paid money.
You can definitely.
So you're not going to foul.
But you can.
Engage yourself.
You can foul. You can foul the course.
Yeah.
Really?
Like it's not
a
guaranteed.
Money back.
It's not a guaranteed pass. You've still got to put in the effort. You've still got to do your essays.
Yeah, but I mean,
there's a 100-question exam at the end. And you've got to do 2 5-minute presentations.
I mean, to fail
you've got to be present and switch on. Like there's questions in that exam where I'm thinking, I've read this and I know I've read it, but I can't remember it. So you've still got to do.
But I know you, Nick, my whole life, and you are a bit of an anorak.
Yeah.
Fodical.
I
said he's methodical.
Yeah, I know. I can see it. He's taking. Oh, they've told me I've got to be there at 9 o'clock.
He put on a WhatsApp group and said we're going to talk this. I went, oh, please don't ask me anything else. Charles the First. I got a clue.
So Charles the First statue was taken away, wasn't it? It was supposed to be destroyed.
Yeah.
And the man who took it away told people he was making spoons out of it and selling the spoons.
He brought it at scrap value.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is, he made a few quid.
He made 3 times, didn't he?
Yeah, he brought it.
He sold it back to
and then sold it back as a statue. and sold off loads of scrap metal saying it was the statue.
Yeah.
So,
well, I wonder if those spoons, even though they weren't made out of the statue, are worth money on the historical value of what they.
How can you verify that?
Yeah.
And then that's why it's where it is, because Eleanor's Cross was there. Charles II said, "Well, I know where that's going," because Eleanor's Cross was destroyed by Parliamentary soldiers.
Was it?
Yeah, Eleanor's Cross was destroyed by the. That was stood there for 400 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was destroyed. If you go,
so the spire in the station is a remodel.
It's a Victorian interpretation, and it was only done on pictures or images, so it probably looked roughly like that. She stayed in. There's a priory next to it called St Mary Ransomville, basically where Northumberland Avenue is. Yep. She stayed there overnight for her funeral procession the next day. She actually stayed in Bow as well, Bow Church. I think she stayed in Cheapside.
There's multiple, weren't there, from all the way from York down to...
Like Whipps Cross is still takes a name. Then I think Whipps Cross is one of them. Sure, I've researched anyway, but I do know about Eleanor's Cross.
Yeah, every day where they stopped.
Yeah, so the next day is for a funeral. She's buried in there. If you go out to Westminster Abbey, and again, you know, like I'm a member of the palaces, Westminster Abbey.
Oh, I don't big it up.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, I go in these places, because I'm guiding now. You don't have to, but you go in these places and know about them. But if you go in there, they're all buried around the shrine of Edward the Confessor. You got Edward I, Henry III, his father, Henry III. He was one that brought in the Edwards again, because Edward is a Saxon name. Yeah. So we had Roberts and all that. He brought in, Henry III brought that in, and that's why they all buried around. Richard II's there, I think. Every monarch except for Henry VIII is in there. I mean, it's fascinating. It's all on your doorstep.
And you don't have to go into like
the
full history of kings and queens, but if that interests you, you can go on
every
and learn.
monarch other than Edward the Fifth and Edward the Seventh were coronated in there as well. Since William the Conqueror.
Yeah, little things like that. Yeah.
And so it's called Charing Cross as well. Then, obviously, with the Eleanor Cross.
Charing is the bend, and the cross is called Eleanor.
So the Eleanor Cross that we're looking at is just a memorial because of Eleanor. But the crosses would have been called now. You've educated me. Whipps Cross. Yeah. Charing Cross. Yeah. They weren't all called Eleanor Cross. They were called the place where they.
Charing. That place was just called. That area is called Charing, and the cross was erected. She died in 1290. I mean, look, again, this you don't have to know about dates, and you know.
She died at 9 o'clock in the morning. Classic. Oh dear. But it obviously had a lot of people. The simple thing that a lot of Londoners or someone even on the knowledge don't know exactly where Charing Cross is. Nah. Charing Cross is that statue.
And every street, every road is measured from that statue.
Yes, from that statue.
Britain. Why are streets and why are roads?
There we go. Don't know. I don't know.
Can I add? I don't know, but I'm going to add what I tell people because it's easy. But for me, streets is where you lived and roads what took you places.
Yeah, basically. So
I ain't right.
So roads would go from town to town or city to city.
Yeah.
And streets would be within that town, but they're also a certain size, so they have to carry like so many knights in armor or so many carriages. Right. So if they're not that size, they're not a street, which is why they're called passage or place or way.
Do you know about Mews? Do you know about Mews?
Mews has got something to do with horses.
Trafalgar Square was where Henry VIII kept all his falcons, and they used to molt. French for molting is Mews. Right, and then when the falcons went out, that's where they stayed with the horses. So they end up becoming the Mews, where they were, and that's why it's unique to London that Mewses are down the back of these Georgian houses, because that's where people stayed with their horses. Like, you don't need to put that in. I mean, that's just, you know, because I know.
Yeah, that's something they tell you on a course.
So like it's a progression of stuff. It comes from molting birds. Yeah, but because
the words come from that, and then it's to the stabling of the horses.
When the falcons went, this is the area of Trafalgar Square. When the falcons went, they started stabling loads of horses there, and because everyone knew it as where the falcons were, and it was called Mews. Where the horses were was called the Mews. Yeah, and that's why now a Mews is a Mews. So
Trafalgar Square used to be the stables to Whitehall Palace.
Yeah,
so Whitehall Palace was all on that side of the Thames. You still see like Queen Mary's steps there, and you got Banqueting House. That was all Whitehall Palace, and then the stables was Trafalgar Square.
Mm. And it's just like so Mews and all that stuff.
Okay, I got one more then. I heard this on the boat trips up and down the Thames years and years ago, and I've always looked at it.
I know what this is.
Is the Ministry of Defence 5 floors below, more below than it is above?
Don't know.
He says to me, the Ministry of Defence, right, on the left there is the Ministry of Defence, Whitehall, there you see it, and there are more floors underneath it than there are.
No, but I'll tell you where I've heard that, and I'll tell you who told me. You know, Graham, we've done the course with. So do you still see him?
Graham Woodhouse,
yeah. I think his wife or something was a Wren in the RAF or something like that. Okay, quite a high ranking. Yeah. You know that? What's that? The intelligence building, the Horse Guards. You know, you got the Admiralty, and then you got that thing that's covered with the ivy.
The Citadel.
Yeah.
he said about that, he goes, apparently she's got, I always remember, I don't know if I got the figures wrong, but he goes, yeah, she's cleared to go down 5 floors, but it goes down 7. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So that's a citadel. So
might
if
be
that
linked.
goes down 7, that's definitely don't go up.
So if you don't know it, because I always thought when the guy was saying it on the boat, you know, that I don't think it was on a tour guide, but the guy's going on a microphone on the boat going up and down the Thames, and we go past it, and he said it, and I was like, I think this guy's making stuff up.
Yeah, I mean,
you've got to be sort of careful with what.
That's you get at. It is said that it goes.
I mean, listen, I will say,
I
will say one thing: don't make stuff up. Don't make yourself up. You know, because you do look like an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not hard.
You got to fact check yourself sometimes, because you'll say something or you'll hear something, and then you don't know where it's necessarily come from. And every now and again, you need to have a bit of a check and go, "Oh,
I've been saying the same thing
I've been saying for years." I remember I'd say to people, I heard one from somewhere once. Oh, had it not been for Hitler, you know, having to like the Blitz, and you know, the city of London would have been all narrow streets and passageways, blah blah blah. Like it was. I got a map of 1927 London, and it looks exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, no, I know something about this one, because again, it was architecture. When we got bombed, an architect came in and said, "Look, this is the best plan we can do for London," and he made it logical, beautiful system, maybe a little bit grid systemy, and they didn't do it. They just built it back up.
Similar to the Great Fire, done that.
So,
King and Queen Street were the two streets that came from the Great Fire. That was the only 2 new streets following that.
Yeah,
they followed
was
the
original,
system.
Oh, can I?
Amazing.
So after the actually before the Great Fire, there was a proposition to rebuild London and redesign the whole city, and it was going to be too costly, and you had to have knocked everything down.
Yeah.
And the Great Fire came through, and it was like, right, perfect. We've got a blank slate. But the king had said, no, you can all have your land back. You can all have your houses back. Just rebuild them as they were.
Yeah.
And they've done that quite quickly. But if you go to Washington, the layout of Washington is an interpretation of what they wanted London to look like.
Are we talking about Washington, England, or Washington, America?
America.
Okay. We're talking about Washington.
I think it was a French architect. And so the way they built that, they took that design of London and based Washington on that imagining of what they wanted London to look like.
Well, Wren's design that you wanted to do. Yeah, because you wanted to make it all like piazzas and like
and like boulevards and that sort of thing.
It might be lovely.
I didn't know that.
Don't know.
It's not an exact copy.
Didn't happen, did it?
What Wren wanted to do.
Well, on that bombshell, right? Why is the monument as high as it is?
Because, come on. It's just done the course. No, I mean, I might mess it up.
So the story is that if you lay it down, the tip of it reaches Pudding Lane.
Yeah.
Right.
Without pediment.
Yeah, without a pediment. And when they were designing it, they wanted to put Charles II on top. Right. And he said, "Don't put me on top, because everyone's going to think that I started the fire." So they put the Phoenix on top.
And Pudding Lane? It's not there anymore, is it?
No. Pudding Lane. So, yeah, so if you go to Lovett Lane, it's a really narrow street and it slopes down.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of the street, it's kind of like a little valley, like very, very tiny. So when the houses were built, they jetted out. They were closer at the top than they were at the bottom. A couple of reasons. They say that it's because you bought the parcel of land and it was that size, but there was no limit on how wide you could make it. So they all made them wider at the top. Yeah. And possibly because when they threw the crap out of the top floor window, it landed in the middle of the street, not near the front door. Yeah. So that's another reason. So when they say about pudding and black pudding, it's because when everyone threw the crap out the top window, it landed in the middle of the street. And Pudding Lane isn't called pudding because that's why they used to bake puddings. That was when you threw everything out your top window, it all congregated in the middle of the street and flowed down to the Thames.
Yeah,
it's awful.
All the butchers used to be down there.
Yeah, so when you threw all the...
So it's nothing to do with puddings and Pie Corner. It's nothing to do with...
No,
tell me they did make pies at Pie Corner.
I say no, but you know we've got to say it's said history would tell us whatever. But yeah, it's all the offal they threw into the middle of the street, all flowed down to the river, and it just become known as black pudding.
Cool. Could you imagine living?
Do you know about Lloyd's Bank? Lloyd's Insurance. The origins of it.
You're talking about the Lloyd's building.
Yeah, the origins of the company.
Shipping
started in a coffee house. We got a massive coffee sort of history. You know, I say to Americans, you know, what are English people famous for? Drinking tea or drinking coffee? Yeah, I was drinking tea. I said, well, we drank coffee first. You know, it was massive. If you was into something, you go to a coffee house. Mm-hmm. Lloyd's was George Lloyd's coffee house, and you went in there to, like, if you want to get in the insurance business, you'd insure ships. You go in, the names would be on the wall. Yeah. Ship. You'd write your name underneath. That's where the underwriter comes from. Tell us to America.
Oh, the underwriter, because you're writing underneath?
You write underneath your name, because you're going to back that ship. Wow. And then business becomes so big for the coffee house, and someone's Gresham decides to build Royal Exchange across the road that they moved over. So where people knew where to go, they called themselves the Lloyd's Society. That's the origins of Lloyd's of London.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the ships, if they didn't come back within 3 years, you paid out. And some of their business still goes on a 3-year cycle. So I've had Americans in insurance, and they love that.
Yeah.
I had 2 generations, 3 people, 2 generations of Americans in working insurance business, and the 2 young ones were like, "Oh, that's amazing." And the old one, she goes, "When I learnt to become an insurer, we had to learn all this." And she knew all about it, but she didn't know about the 3-year cycle. But she knew about it starting in a coffee house and all of this. So you play to your customers and like stuff like. I mean, it's the first insurance company.
Yeah,
they are the first insurance company,
and they still work on the basis that you can invest. I can give my my security to Lloyd's, and if Lloyd's gets a payout, I lose my house, my everything, my.
Well, don't know about that.
Well,
I'm intrigued.
You're an underwriter.
Yes.
So I can be an underwriter, and I get the perks of what the profits are from the. I am no expert here. I'm just doing from my memory of what I put on the spotlight. As an underwriter, I am going to guarantee that your ship's going to be safe. If your ship doesn't come back safe, I didn't say how much money I had, but whatever I own or whatever I am worth is now has to be paid. The debt has to be paid. And I thought that's how it worked. So now I have to sell everything, get everything, and you can lose everything as an underwriter. Because they lost everything in earthquakes and major disasters. Because they were insured in some way, and now the payout comes, and literally whoever it is, check that out, Frank. I'm going to do my thing on that.
I will check that out. No, definitely.
Frank, it's wonderful stories. Tom, really great to have you here as well. And the chat was great. Nick, really proud that you're now a tour guide, and thank you for coming and sharing all these stories with us. And what a really, really enjoyable podcast. Thank you. Yeah.